And what is up, Pewter Peeps? Welcome in to the Pewter Cast, the very first episode of the regular season as we get you ready for the Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday night football. I am Steve Carney. That is Red Daxt, and we are joined this week by a guy who knows the Cowboys very, very well. Talking Cowboys podcast host Kyle Youmans is with us, and we will get to Kyle here in just a second. But I do want to mention before we get off and running, talking about the kickoff game on Thursday, that the Pewtercast is presented in part by Manscaped. And I have told many, many stories about many people that I have known that needed Manscaped. Obviously, Kyle is not a guy that needs Manscaped. Look at him. He's handsome as we're on YouTube. He is ready to go. But if you do need to help yourself in the grooming area, Manscaped is the best way in order to do so. Of course, they've got their brand new lawnmower version 4.0 with wireless charging and the new ceramic blade and the light to make sure you're like, hey, is that a shadow? No, that's not a shadow. And everything that goes along with the all-new lawnmower version 4.0. And you can get a discount on Manscaped through the Pewtercast if you go to manscaped.com and use the promo code FANSIDED20. You can get 20% off of your purchase and free shipping thanks to us here at the Pewtercast. So, again, manscaped.com, promo code FANSIDED20. And you can get 20% off of your order plus free shipping from the folks at Manscaped. So now that is out of the way, yes, thank you. I want to welcome in a guy who knows the Dallas Cowboys very, very well. He talks about them a lot, and so much so that he's got a podcast called Talking Cowboys, and that is Kyle Youmans joining us from Cowboys, from the building, which is always nice.
Live from the star is what they call it here. I know that's hard to believe since the logo is a star, but yeah, that's what they call the facility. So.
Yes, inside the facility, he is. And Kyle, for those of our listeners and our viewers on YouTube that may not know everything about you, give us a little background. How did you get inside that building?
Yeah, so it really started back in the early parts of college for me. I went to the University of North Texas, part of the Mean Green there, graduated in 2018, and then kind of got involved with high school football during my time there, and really kind of course, Texas high school football, along with Florida high school football, are just different breeds at the prep level. So there's a lot of coverage that's going around the state of Texas, and I was a part of that for a while and hosted a show that was from inside the Ford Center, inside the Star, that was in the podcast studio that we do our shows in now. And it was just a Friday night one-off freelance gig that I would do every Friday night during football season. We'd host a scoreboard show, and I would do freelance play-by-play on the side, and I worked for an ESPN radio station in Central Texas as well. So kind of bounced around a little bit, but then I went to minor league baseball, did some play-by-play for a Mariners affiliate in minor league baseball, and then we're on my way back, basically got a call and was like, hey, you want a production job, a behind-the-scenes job for the Cowboys while you try and find another minor league baseball gig? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great, actually. So I came in, ran some cameras, edited videos, directed and produced some podcasts, and then took advantage of a couple times on air, and they kept giving me some stuff from there on out. So now I host the pre- and post-game shows. I host the Talking Cowboys, our draft coverage as well. So lots of stuff going on around the Star.
Yeah, I always love the name of minor league baseball teams. Before we get serious here about Cowboys Bucs, what was the name of this Mariners affiliate?
So it was the West Virginia Power, which is
nice,
directly off of the power plants in West Virginia, and
that's in Wheeling. Yes.
What was that?
Is that in Wheeling?
It's actually in Charleston, which is the capital. Yeah,
okay.
So it's in Charleston. It had like the golden dome because the Charleston Capitol, or like the West Virginia Capitol in Charleston, has a golden dome, full 24-karat gold, and so the team was black and gold, and it was pretty cool. It was a fun experience there.
Yeah, the power. I think.
Mhm.
What do we got? What's your favorite one, Carney? Ours with the Rays, Sea Biscuits. Is that yours?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Montgomery.
the Montgomery
Yeah.
Biscuits is a good one. I like the Marlins AAA affiliate this year is the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp,
Mhm.
which is always good. And New Orleans has one called the Baby Cakes.
The baby cakes are no longer anymore. Like they're not a thing anymore. But that was one of my favorites. I also like the Biloxi Shuckers.
The Biloxi
I think that
Shuckers
one's
is
a
a
fun
good
one.
one.
Nice.
That's a good one as well. And of course the Trash Pandas.
Yeah, Rocket City.
Rocket City Trash Pandas.
That's
which
an
is
actual team name?
Yeah.
That's a AA team in just outside of Tuscaloosa.
I need that hat ASAP. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get into it. All right. So Bucs Dallas kicking off the NFL season, of course, Thursday night. Everyone who's listening knows that. And we got to start with, Dak Prescott. I talked to you earlier right before the show, basically his ankle gets detached from the bottom of his leg and he has the surgeries. Everything seems to go fine. He comes into training camp and all of a sudden the shoulder pops up. So where is Dak? I know he hasn't taken a preseason snap. At one point, the head coach is kind of like, well, I don't know. He might play, he might start the season. And then the next day, Jerry Jones comes out and says, yes, he will. It looks like everything's a go. Where is Dak on both of those injuries? And if you had to pick them, kind of put you on the spot, like which one do you think is going to give him more trouble this year going forward?
Yeah, well, I think that's a common question for a lot of Cowboys fans at the moment is which one should I be more concerned about? Is it the ankle or is it the shoulder? For me, it's the shoulder because going into training camp, the way he was running, the way he was mobile, it wasn't concerning to any extent for me, really. Whenever you looked at Dak Prescott, he looked like himself. And even whenever the shoulder injury popped up, he was able to run around and still kind of do everything from a team standpoint, except for throw a football. I mean, and really it got to the point where they had to hold him back from himself from the shoulder injury. And that's something that I know a lot of people think about with these players is that, they tend to kind of take some time off whenever those injuries happen. A lot of times the players want to get back out there. It's the medical staffs that don't let them do that. And Dak Prescott was one of those where he thought he was good to go before he really was. And I think the shoulder injury is one thing that might linger into the season. And I don't know if that's something that will necessarily bother him immediately, but I think it's later on down the road that I'm concerned that he could potentially have that pop back up again. So
once he gets some wear and tear on it
now at all, but it's the lingering muscle side of things that scares me.
Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say I'm curious, and I know Ren's gonna ask about more about the injuries to Dak, but I was looking at the depth chart at quarterback, and behind Dak this year, you've got Cooper Rush and Will Grier. I'm curious how the coaching staff feels about the depth at quarterback, especially because there's another quarterback out there that I think would probably be a really good fit into this offense, and that is now a free agent that just got released in New England in Cam Newton. Has there been any sort of discussion in Cowboys land about Cam Newton since his release and how how they feel about having Cooper Rush and Will Grier behind Dak?
I think there's a lot of confidence behind Cooper Rush and the ability that he has shown to absorb this offense because he's been in the system for 4 years now as a part of a Kellen Moore system. He was here with the Jason Garrett era and now moved into the Mike McCarthy era. He's the longest tenured quarterback outside of Dak Prescott on the roster or that you could potentially go get that has been in a Cowboys uniform. And so I think they feel confident in the way that he could keep the boat afloat should something happen to Dak Prescott. There's no, at least even though personally I'm worried about the lingering of maybe the shoulder injury, I don't think it'll flare up. But from an organizational standpoint, there is no worry about him moving forward. And so I think it would be another just freak thing that Cooper Rush would have some opportunity to come in and play throughout the regular season. I don't think that's necessarily anything that could potentially say, let's go get Cam Newton. Because there's not that big of a worry of Dak Prescott missing time. they're not going to go get a guy like Cam Newton who might cost a little bit more, who can bring in a couple of different question marks. And I think they kicked the tires on Cam Newton. From everything that I had heard, they had at least done their research, and they felt Will Grier was the better of the two to come in and fit this Kellen Moore system because of his running ability, because of his arm. I don't know if this is the case or not because I don't know this specifically, but vaccination status might be a thing because Cam Newton is not vaccinated. And so there are a couple things that might have been a factor, but I think overall, when you look at this front office, it has to come down to Will Grier felt better for what they were trying to do from a backup quarterback standpoint than a Cam Newton. Yeah,
that makes sense. There's, like you said, you put it nicely. There are question marks that come with Cam Newton, and it's
sure.
It's a little strange to think that an organization would go with Will Grier over Cam Newton. But again, if you bring in the question marks and the salary and all that, I get it as well. We talk about the injury with Dak. The Cowboys' offensive line has been considered one of the best, if not the best, for years. Last year, they got hurt with injuries a lot. Now Zach Martin, by all reports, is going to miss Thursday's night game with COVID. From the peak Cowboys offensive line, which would be around the Ezekiel Elliott rookie year, to where it is now, how would you rate them? Who's getting plugged in? Are there some holes there? Are they counting on some guys? Can this sort of give us it all round? Like, what's going on with that offensive line right now?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest question going into this game in terms of health for this team is, what are you going to do without Zach Martin? Because an all-pro right guard, is not an easy person to replace, nor is he replaceable. I mean, no matter who you throw in there, it could be Connor McGovern, who is the expected player to go in and start at right guard, or it could be me. It could be Kyle Youmans going in there to go and start, and it wouldn't matter either way. You're not going to have anybody that's going to stand up to the possibility that Zach Martin presents you on that offensive line. And you mentioned Lyle Collins returning to health this season. He's expected to play, but it still looks like he's not 100%, and it's not the hip issue that he had last year. It's a neck stinger that is lingering and something that he sustained a couple weeks ago. Now he's working into the offense again. He practiced as a full participant yesterday, which is great news for this Cowboys organization. However, I still think there's a lot of worry around this offensive line because Tyron Smith's not getting any younger. Connor Williams is in a contract year. You have a second-year Tyler Biadasz at center. And then without Zach Martin, it's Connor McGovern, who was your most improved offensive lineman a year ago and arguably your sixth man coming off of the bench, the sixth best lineman that you have on your roster, but still going up against that massively good front seven from Tampa Bay is something that is worrisome for Cowboys fans. I mean, Vita Vea is going to have a fantastic game. I think Jack Barrett's going to get after it, and Sue, should he play, which I believe he's expected to play, right?
Yes.
So he's back. He comes in, he's going to have a field day as well. This offensive line has to stand up because last year when they were missing some of their guys, it was a visible weak spot.
And I want to go a little further outside. In fact, getting outside the tackles. There was an article this past week where Amari Cooper called himself the best wide receiver in the league.
Really got under your skin, didn't it?
a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that Amari Cooper isn't one of the best receivers in the league, but calling himself the best could be very, very interesting, especially because there are two guys that are going to be on the other sideline that would certainly take exception to him, and they both have Super Bowl rings now. So I'm curious, like for you, Amari's a great receiver, but to get to the very best in the league, where would you think that Amari Cooper might be lacking?
Well, I think it's the consistency on the road, specifically with Amari Cooper. If he played the way that he does at home, I don't think there's any way he couldn't be the number one receiver. He might be the best home receiver in the NFL. I might give him that.
There we go.
He hasn't been able to do that on the road. And he's such a good route runner. He's so consistent in terms of the yearly numbers that he puts up, but he tends to disappear in the big games, in hostile environments. So I mean, games like Thursday are the ones where he hasn't necessarily shown up to his full potential. And so if he shows up Thursday, maybe he tries to start proving that wrong a little bit. And if he goes for 1,000 yards, he would be the 10th receiver in NFL history to have 1,000-yard receiving season in 6 of his first 8 years in the league. So he has had that season success that you would want from a top-end wide receiver in the NFL. And certainly he's a top 10, top 15 guy. And he kind of gets lost in the shuffle because he isn't as loud. He isn't as vocal as some of these other top-end receivers in the league. But, yeah, in terms of calling him the top receiver in the NFL, I don't think I would give him that title. And honestly, you mentioned the 2 guys on the other sideline. I don't know if I would give them that title either. There's a lot of really good wide receivers that are ultra consistent and ultra talented scattered throughout this league. And I think while those 3 guys are certainly up in the mix, I just don't think they're at the top echelon of it as well.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. In fact, for me, I think the best wide receiver in the league plays with Kyler Murray. But that's another story for another time. To stick with Cooper though, he's going to have his work cut out for him because he's probably going to have Carlton Davis shadowing him throughout Thursday night's contest. What do you see out of that contest? And I guess how does he get to the point where he makes a statement in that?
So here's the other thing, kind of counteracting your question here is, if Davis is on Cooper, who's on Michael Gallup?
Yeah, right.
If whoever's on Michael Gallup, who's on CeeDee Lamb?
Right.
And then if that's the case, who's going to cover Blake Jarwin and or Dalton Schultz coming from a tight end position? And then after that, I mean, is Ezekiel Elliott going to be able to run the ball against this defensive line? There are so many questions, I think, for these 2 teams in the secondary, because Tampa Bay, certainly their strength is up front in the front 7. The Cowboys' strength is not their secondary either. I think both of these passing games are going to have their fill come Thursday night. I think Amari Cooper will have his fill. I think Michael Gallup will certainly do that. I think Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to have the same kind of success on the other side of the football. It's going to be really interesting to see. And honestly, my biggest question on whether or not Amari Cooper is going to have a big game is if the offensive line can protect for him. It kind of goes back to the conversation we had a moment ago, is if Dak Prescott doesn't have time to get it to Amari Cooper or take a deep shot with Michael Gallup, then how much does it really matter if Amari Cooper has some space and has some separation, which is going to be tough against guys like Davis on the outside regardless. If he does get that space because he is such a good route runner and he's so elite in that area of his game, you still got to find a way to get him the football. And I think if this front 7 is nasty and is in the backfield and is providing problems for Dak Prescott, it's going to be hard for Amari Cooper to have a day.
Let's switch up to the other side of the ball. It's no secret that Dallas's defense last year was a sore spot.
Wait, what?
That's I saw it on Twitter once or twice, so I'm going with that. If it's on Twitter, it's got to be true.
I wish that was all I saw it on Twitter.
So bringing a new defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, most famously for excuse me, being the architect of the Legion of Boom out in Seattle. Came to Atlanta as head coach. That was nice as a Bucs fan because it ended up not being very good. But now he's here in Dallas. He's revamped that defense. What's changed from last year? What are they hoping happens this year? Where are they putting their chips in? And what are some of sort of the cornerstones that Dan Quinn and the franchise are hanging their hat on this year?
Well, the sincerest form of flattery is imitation. And I think the Cowboys are trying to imitate a lot of what Tampa Bay does well on the defensive side of the football. And that's that front 7 that I keep continuing to mention, because this year there's a lot of excitement around the defensive line with some added talent there. You had DeMarcus Lawrence returning, who has been a Pro Bowl caliber player off the edge previously. Randy Gregory, who finally has a full offseason for the first time since 2018, to where he can put together some excitement in a year that he could be proud of, which is something he hasn't lived up to throughout his career because of the time that he has missed, whether it be because of injury or because of suspension. He hasn't seen the field a whole lot, but when he's been out there, he's been uber productive. And so I think the combination of those two guys on the edge is really exciting for guys on the defensive side of the football. They're a little banged up in the interior of that defensive line, but they've got a couple veterans there in Brent Urban and Carlos Watkins who have had really nice camps so far. And then they've got some young interior defensive linemen like an Osa Odigizua, who was a third-round pick out of UCLA this past year, who has really been quick. He's been impressive. He's very strong. He's very athletic. And he's a smart guy, too. He knows how to attack it. Made some comments throughout the week that weren't really the greatest for Tom Brady. But outside of the talking that he has done, he's really shown out on the field throughout camp. I'm excited to see what he has in the middle. And then the linebackers have been completely redone because in 2018, when you could argue the Cowboys had the best linebacker duo in the league with Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, neither one of them have really lived up to the expectations since then. And because of that, they went out and made a first-round pick and grabbed Micah Parsons, the 12th overall pick out of Penn State, who has come in and provided an extra element to this defense. And then additionally, they go and get a guy from Atlanta and Dan Quinn's system, and Keona Neal, who played safety, has beefed up. He's come in and played linebacker, and he ended up the season's highest-graded linebacker by Pro Football Focus. So these additions, along with some of the guys that they're returning from injuries or suspensions, has this defense revamped and excited about the possibility that they could have moving into the year.
I'm glad that you mentioned Odigizua because there was no way that I was going to get that last name right the first time. I can tell you that right now. Going back to Micah Parsons, playing at Penn State is great, but learning how to combat an NFL offense is going to be something completely different, and it's something that's going to take time, I'm sure. How do you think he's grasped the handling of going up against NFL type linemen and skilled players?
Yeah, you're right. It's a different level and it's a different speed, and that's the thing that I think benefits Micah Parsons is that the biggest transition for defenders in the NFL is keeping up with team speed. Micah Parsons, at least in terms of the Cowboys defense, is the team speed because he runs the 4.40. I mean, he's got sideline to sideline capability. He might be the most athletic defender I've seen as a rookie in maybe a decade. I mean, he's right up there with Isaiah Simmons in terms of the athleticism. I think Isaiah Simmons was a specific prospect that was more ready for the NFL coming in. And of course he had kind of even a pitter-pattering rookie year in his own right. But I think Micah Parsons has grasped the team speed and then also the playbook exceptionally well. That's one of the things that stuck out to me with his camp so far was that they were raving not about his athleticism that we already knew about. They were raving about the way he was picking up the playbook, the way that he has been able to do so many different things, rushing the passer, getting back in coverage, setting the run game on the defensive side of the football as a rookie. It's been impressive to watch in camp, and then whenever the coaches come out and talk about it as well, it's been very encouraging.
Well, we're running up here on 30 minutes, and thank you so much for your time. It was really, I find it a little extra special that you're actually inside the star. What'd you call it? The inside
the star.
Just the star.
Yeah, that's literally what they call it. I mean,
okay,
don't get that's above my pay grade, but they call it the star.
It's cool. I like it. I don't have no problem with branding. I just think it's cool. So I think that you're hinting at. Let me put it this way: if Dallas is going to win this game, how's it gonna have to play out?
Yeah, if I've been hinting at it all the time, and you got to slow down the Tampa Bay front seven. That offensive line is going to have to play exceptionally well. You're going to have to give time for Dak Prescott to throw the football because that's the thing. Defensively, you could play man, you could play zone, and either way, Tom Brady's going to pick you apart. And that offense is so talented outside of Tom Brady that they're going to get their fill and they're going to put up points against this defense. And I think that's what Cowboys fans are hoping for, that the defense comes out and just stifles them for a little bit and then the offense is able to take off. It's going to be a really tough matchup for the Cowboys, especially when they're not 100% healthy up front. But if that front seven gives problems to Dak Prescott and he can't stay upright, there's no way that the Cowboys come out of Raymond James Stadium with a win.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head there, Kyle. Talking Cowboys podcast. Where can people find it, and where else can people find you other than, of course, on Twitter? We get your Twitter there, underneath you. So give us the skinny on Talking Cowboys.
Well, yeah, you can find Talking Cowboys on the Apple iTunes podcast app, or whatever that ends up being called now. It changes, I feel like, all the time. But yeah, on the iTunes app. You can go on there and subscribe. We have shows every weekday throughout the regular season. We're the first podcast to talk about it from the start. So 9 a.m. Central Time is when we do it. So if you are a Cowboys fan, tuned in here to the Pewtercast, then yeah, go ahead and subscribe and listen to the Cowboys side of things as well. You can find the rest of my work on DallasCowboys.com, and then I do some freelance play-by-play as well for some of the regional ESPN networks and things of the sort. And then, yeah, you can find all that on Twitter at Kyle_Youmans.
By the way, before we let you go, you said you ESPN Central Texas. That's Waco, yes?
Yeah.
So do you know my friend Jason Barringer?
Yes, I do, actually.
Oh, that's too funny. I saw him yesterday, so he's here in Tampa now.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I grew up in Waco, was born and raised. They gave me my first gig out of high school. They gave me an internship, and then out of college, they gave me a producer job. So that was my station for a while, was ESPN Central Texas. So lots of love down there.
That's too funny. I will.
Were you? I'm totally going off of sports here. Were you in Waco when Waco happened?
Like when Magnolia happened?
I don't know what Magnolia is.
Oh, like Waco. Okay, so you're
he's talking about David.
The wooden there.
Yeah. So no, I was not born yet. I was still minus 5 years old. I was born in '96.
I just want to talk to somebody. I mean, we wouldn't go on length. I just want to know, like, how crazy was that just to be there?
See, and that's the thing is, you said when Waco happened, and I was thinking the Magnolia silos where Chip and Joanna Gaines, like the fixer-upper people, like kind of blew Waco back up. That was my thought process.
Right.
When Waco happened.
Chip and Joanna Gaines.
I have no idea what that is. Like like I don't know who those people are. Yeah. I don't know what the Magnolia is.
Yes, at least I know the Waco siege and the history behind that. But yeah, no, it did go over my head initially.
No.
No, Chip and Joanna Gaines went over Ren's head.
Yes, for sure.
Kyle, thank you so much for giving us a half an hour of your time. We really appreciated it, and continued success there at the Star. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
That is Kyle Youmans of DallasCowboys.com. As we now get back in there, he's fantastic. It is funny that he knows my buddy Jason Barringer, who is now part of WDAE and has been for the last 4 or 5 years. So, we're not Pewtercast fighting. That's
no. I'm trying like I had, okay, real quick behind the scenes, not that anyone cares, but like I built the original overlays on someplace I found free, and I told you, Steve, before that I went on it, and all of a sudden it wasn't free anymore. And it's like, oh, you want to edit these? Okay, it's going to cost you $180, and it's like, what? So during the preseason, I kept putting it off, and then I started building the overlays. I found one that I'd pay for more, around $60. And I started building the overlays like yesterday with the move and all this other stuff. It hasn't been best. So I haven't done a 2-person overlay. And I thought this would fit, but obviously it does not. So
it's all right.
What are you going to do? Oh, wait, maybe if I do this. And then we change our camera.
And then we change our cameras back around.
Perfect.
See, this is the problem with having a laptop instead of a desktop. I'm still debating on whether or not
we made it.
I want to go desktop again, because right now I'm still using a laptop.
Just buy a camera. That's what I do, and then you can move the camera wherever you want it. Whatever. You do you, Steve. So, what did you find interesting that Kyle told us?
Well, the thing that interested me the most is the fact that they have legitimate concerns about their front line or their offensive line.
And you noticed when I asked about the defense, he never even mentioned any of the safeties or corners.
Well, and he said he even mentioned that he thought that that the Bucs wide receivers are going to have a field day,
right,
when it comes to the defensive backfield. I it is funny. Like he's like if Carlton Davis is on Amari Cooper, who's on Michael Gallup, and I wanted to go Jamel.
Yeah, be like,
and who's on and who's on CD Lamb, Sean Murphy Bunting, or Antoine Winfield.
Yeah, exactly. Or be like,
and who's on Blake Jarwin, Devin White.
yeah, or Levante David. Like you're covered, buddy. But and then also it was also tempting, to be sort of like well, we do have Chris Godwin, and oh yeah, there's a guy named Antonio Brown, and then he named some tight ends that I never heard of, and I'm like, oh, by the way, we have Gronk.
Yeah,
and his backup's OJ Howard, and his backup led the league for touchdowns 2 years in a row. It's like. Yeah, and it's like, okay, like all right, buddy. But
no, it is hilarious to think that, and you gotta love the guys that are inside the facility. They're the only ones that are gonna have locker room access.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So those guys. So Kyle's the only one who's gonna have locker room access for the Cowboys this year, which I think is going to be real interesting. And I want to thank his boss, Nick Eatman, for helping us get that together.
Yeah.
They've been working on that for the last couple of days. And so, for me, it's the fact that their offensive line, which has been the staple.
Yeah.
Is
like the 70s, really. Remember when they used to do the set, like they go ready, and then they like all stand up halfway and then put their hand down.
Yeah.
In unison. That was like the cool thing. Like when you think Cowboys, like you think offensive line. Well, you think the star. But then after that, sort of like as a unit, they're not really an offensive unit. They're not really a defensive team, throughout history. But that O-line has just sort of been kind of their, identity for so long.
Yeah, and now it's really their Achilles heel, and it's gonna affect them in more ways than one. We talked with Kyle about, protecting Dak Prescott and being able to give him time to throw. But if the offensive line is as porous as it sounds, it's also going to affect their running ability, and it's going to affect the holes that Ezekiel Elliott's going to have.
I don't think Ezekiel Elliott's going to be a factor in this game at all, to be honest.
I think you're right.
And I was a little shocked that Kyle didn't bring up anything like, okay, like how is this going to work? Like, what do you need to happen for Dallas to win this game? And obviously, since I bring up the offensive line and holding back our front seven is a great point. That might be number one on my list too, but he didn't seem to be worried at all that any type of rust from Dak Prescott facing live bullets that he hasn't done in 9-10 months. He hasn't taken a preseason snap. Yeah,
if he hasn't played at all in the preseason, and he hasn't played in a regular season game since week 3?
I think it was 5
or week 5. Yeah, I mean he missed most of last year.
Yeah,
because of the injury, and so, and I did have to laugh when mentioning Cam Newton. Yeah, I'm telling you, like if I'm Mike McCarthy, do you really have the confidence in Cooper Rush that you would have in someone like Cam Newton to be able to pick up the offense?
That's what.
Even if it is a Kellen Moore offense, I mean, come on.
First off, I'm no Cam Newton fan. There's players that I sort of like. I would say there are very few players that I don't root for, as long as they're not playing the Bucs. I kind of want to see everybody succeed, fulfill their potential. And then there's Cam Newton, who I think is just a turd. As a teammate, I don't know him as a person. You see things he does through charity and other. It looks like, and he'd always give the disabled kids the ball. That one year when they went 15.
Yeah, when they went 15-1.
Yeah, when everything was rolling. But as a teammate, there's just those things. People used to slam Jay Cutler for body language all the time, sitting by himself on the bench. And then just the way Cam acted
smoking his cigarettes.
Yeah. The way that Cam acted, after the Super Bowl, it was just, it was a person who, I felt always pointed the finger at somebody else when things went bad. When things were great, he's in your face, doing the Superman, it's 3rd and 2, picks up 4 yards. He acts like he just won the MVP, 3 or 4 times a game. Now, I don't like it, but I'm not going to get on him for it because it's the defensive job to stop him. If you don't want to see him do that, then don't let him get the first down.
Yeah.
But then when, things start to turn bad, he's a sort of loser is basically what it is, and didn't take any, sort of accountability for, his shortcomings in that Super Bowl and since then. So, I mean, that's just as a player and a teammate. I'm sure, he may be a great person. He may be the best person, but he's kind of falls in the category of with Gerald McCoy. I like Gerald McCoy, but I don't want him on my team. I don't like Cam Newton. I definitely don't want him on my team. I just wonder if it's just some of that stuff that Dallas sees that, I don't understand why you think that Cam Newton would be such a great fit.
Well, I'm just looking at Kellen Moore always likes to have athletic quarterbacks. And yes, Cam Newton is beat to hell. There's no doubt about it. But I still think that, he is in that same mold of a mobile quarterback. I just saw Randall's comment as well. Cam spelled backwards is Mac. Rookie took his job, which I thought was funny. Richard Taraoka calls Cam the biggest baby, a bigger baby than LeBron.
I don't watch basketball, so I wouldn't know.
Well, I wouldn't call LeBron a baby. He does complain a lot. Which I guess you could say.
Let's get back on track.
All right, get back on. Let's get back on track then. But yeah, I really think that for the Cowboys, for me, I know we're gonna do predictions here in a minute.
Sure.
I definitely want to give my my prediction for Thursday's game, but there shouldn't be much of a prediction here. This is pretty much spelled out. Unless something goes terribly wrong, the Bucs should have I don't think they should have much of a problem handling the Cowboys.
I think this is going to be a lot like the Chiefs game, where yes, they have lots of offensive weapons, but their line's just not going to be able to hold up. And is Dak going to run for 500 yards behind the line of scrimmage? This could get ugly quickly. Now, if Dak comes out and everything's clicking and, Jamel Dean has a hard time covering his guy and Devin White can't cover, reverts back to playoff Devin White and his coverage skills, Dallas can move the ball down the field and hang with it. If Dallas is going to win, I'm thinking this has got to be 35, maybe 38 plus points.
Yeah.
But I don't want to sort of be a homer here on the score, but I can easily see this game like 38-13 too, Bucs, everything. It feels like it's, if I was a Dallas fan, I would feel like a Bucs fan, during the Jameis Winston years. Everything has to go right and perfectly, and we might win. And it's not going to. And so, I think the Bucs are going to win. And I think they're going to win by 2 scores.
Yeah, I think 2 scores is a minimum. If you're looking on some of these sites to maybe put down a wager or something like that, I certainly think that, yes, I pronounced Richard's last name right, but perfectly. He said,
"Do it again."
Taraoka.
Okay. I'm not going
to. And now I probably screwed it up. But
I didn't say it like that the first time.
Yeah, but I look at 2 scores as a minimum, and if you're looking at some of these places to maybe put a wager down, I certainly think that any place
we will have a sponsor very shortly.
Yes, and we'll have one of those places for you here very shortly. I would think that any place that you could find that's giving you single digits, I would jump on that in a heartbeat. If they're telling you to lay 9, I'd be all over that. They're asking you to lay 9.5. I'd be all over that. And 9.5 is big. Those are lots of points in the NFL. Those are huge points in the NFL. And I would lay them quickly, because I think that this number could get bet up past 10. Does it get to 11 or 12? Maybe, but I really think that this is easily a 2-score game. And so I would even go, this might be 28-7 or 28-10. So
okay. Here's my last question, and then we'll get out of here for you. Do you think the Bucs defense picks up where they left off, or close to it?
I think the front 7 does.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's going to take a week or two for the defensive backs to get back into the routine of having to go after some of these burners. And Amari Cooper is that's
Dean and SMB are so up and down.
Yeah,
it's hard to sort of and that's half the field. You can make it where that's half the field. Whitehead's not playing. Edwards is a ball hawk. I think even if Whitehead was good, I think that Edwards would end up playing more this year in a 3-safety rotation. Antoine Winfield, he's up and down, but his wave is very small. His wavelength is very small. He can disappear for some games. At least he did his rookie year, but he's very solid. So his floor is still really good. So I'm not worried about that. Carlton Davis, whoever he, if he plays a half of the field or if he follows a guy around, they're not going to throw the ball over there, because you can throw it at SMB and Dean. And if they have, their playoffs or bye week, they play that well, then Dallas is probably in for a long night. But if they have, the first 8, 9, 10 games of the year, the way they play and they're up and down, then this game, I'm not going to say Dallas would win, but I'd say this game is not going to be sort of like this easy breezy Mardi Gras party opening thing. It's just not going to go. There's going to be some tense moments in it.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it too. Yeah. That I would love to be, just be like, hey, they'll pick up like they did last. But I remember the Mike Smith defense where they won their last 5, went 9-7. And they got all those turnovers and were like, here we go. And then it just they never, ever got back to that ever again.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. So,
yeah, let's not hope for that. Let's hope we see post bye week defensive backfield work.
Yeah.
And if we do that, I think that
there you go. If everyone plays their best game they've ever played, we'll win.
Exactly. And we'll win. No, it's everyone plays their best game and we whoop their asses.
There you go.
So speaking of long nights on Thursday, Ren and I are going to have a long night on Thursday, because we're going to be with you after the game live on YouTube and on the pewtercast.com, breaking things down. And we're definitely going to want your thoughts on what you saw from the kickoff game. So again, that will be
hit 000
right as the clock hits 0. We will be live here on YouTube and on the pewtercast.com. And then if you're just going to listen to the podcast, we'll have it for you up the next morning. And
as always, we'll be dropping the links during the show to invite you in on the video calls.
Absolutely.
And, we'll talk Bucs and we'll be talking about a victory. I'm not even going to say hopefully, we will be talking about a victory. Yeah. And the season will be off and rolling. And then Steve and I will, like we promised a few weeks ago, we'll be going 3 times a week.
Yep.
And so it's go time, man.
Absolutely. So and again, the schedule for the 3 times weekly, I believe we're going to do Tuesdays and Fridays, and then after the game,
or maybe Wednesdays.
Or maybe Wednesday, Friday, and after game. So we'll have one during the week. We'll have one on Friday where we get you ready for the game, our game preview, And then on Sunday, we'll get your post game, I should say, because sometimes it'll be Monday night.
We'll have the pate.
The pate. It'll be all about a pate. It'll get Richard is so wants to go undefeated, so our story can say from 0-26 to 28-0, the tale of the Buccaneers.
It's true. Be like Jason Light. No other GMs had the first pick and the last pick in the first round.
There you go.
So a different quarterback, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Not the same quarterback and not the same coach, but you certainly get the feeling there. All right, let's get on out of here. It's 12 noon. Ren's got to work.
I gotta go to work.
You gotta go work. I gotta go work. Ren, give us the Ren addiction. Where do they find you?
Well, before I give the Ren addiction, I want to talk about that Rays game against Boston, down 7-1. Came back, won extra innings. Franco, what's he been on base? Like 237 times in a row?
36 consecutive games. That is tying an American League record for a player that is 20 years or younger. With a guy who's pretty good, Mickey Mantle. Major League record is 43. So
another guy who's pretty good.
Yeah, Frank Robinson.
Heard of him.
Yeah, so you've heard of him. The team record for any player is 48 by Tommy Pham. So he is within striking distance of all three of those records. The major league record for everybody, he's going to have to wait until next year to do so. It's 84 games.
Can he finish out this year and then pick it up?
Yes, he can. It does go in between regular seasons. So if he finishes this year, he would be at 60. And it would stay at 60 until opening day of next year. So the playoffs don't count.
If you're a Tampa Bay sports fan, man, be watching the Rays. They're going to win 100 games this year.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah,
I have a feeling they're at 84 or 85 right now. And yeah, I have a feeling they're going to be. They still have 26 games left, and so you only need to win 15 of those to win 100 games. Pretty good.
Yeah, they're going to be the best record regular season Rays have ever seen. But we're done with that. The best place to find me is on Twitter at the Petercast. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football, but if you feel like your take is too hot and you don't want to put it out there, feel free to slide in my DMs. You can talk Buccaneers football with me there as well, too.
Yes, and you can follow me at Steve Carney, stpete9.com if you want to talk Rays with me. I'm definitely down for that as well. Of course, like, share, subscribe on YouTube, and then, of course, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, all those other places that you can find podcasts. Leave us ratings, reviews. I guess we try and reach as many Buccaneers fans as possible. Again, pewtercast.com and the pewtercast.live is where you can find the archive of the show. Thanks to the Fansided Network for being a part of it as well. And until next time, Ren, you got it?
I do.
Go buck yourself.
Mid-season form.
Woo!